Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Smith. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for United Financial Freedom. We want to welcome you to our presentation this evening. We're excited about sharing this information with you. Thank you for joining us. Someone has invited you to this call. This is maybe your first exposure to United Financial Freedom, to the MoneyMax account, and who we are and what we do. You may or may not have heard of us. We're not a household name, but hopefully soon we could be, but we have been in business for over 20 years, and we literally have tens of thousands of clients that utilize our technology on a daily basis. And tonight what we want to do is a couple of things. We want to share with you who we are. Who is United Financial Freedom? How do they come to be? Are they are they stable? Are they a good company to do business with? Do their clients utilize their tools? Is it really legitimate? Is this MoneyMax account thing, and does it really work to say that the way they say it works? And I mean, can it really do what they say, or is this just another, smoke and mirrors type thing? Well, folks, we're here tonight on the second part of the presentation is to show you how the MoneyMax account program works. Now, to say that is, I'm not trying to say that it is simple. There are certainly complexities to it. There are literally hundreds of thousands, if not a couple of million lines of code that make up the MoneyMax account. It is an interactive mathematical functionality of math with hundreds of thousands, or again, millions of algorithms that help to operate the program. It learns each person individually and what your spending habits are, your income. But folks, one thing I do want you to know, and sometimes we don't touch your money. We don't touch your money. We can't touch your money. We don't have anything to do with moving your money or anything. You are in total control. This is a private program that you would log into with passwords and all the safety and that technology can provide. So let me share with you a little bit about who we are, and we'll get into the presentation tonight. And I think that will answer a lot of questions. The ones that we don't, please get back with the person that invited you to the presentation tonight. They'll be glad to answer it. But I think that we'll answer a lot of them. So get you a pen and paper, take you some notes, and we really appreciate your time. John Shank and Skyler Whit. Those are the two co-founders of United Financial Freedom. John and Skyler were friends since probably they were 8 years old. They grew up together. They grew up in the same neighborhood. They've been best of buddies, and now they're probably somewhere around their mid-40s, I would say. Okay, but they've been friends for life. As they grew up, they started growing up, and as they became young teenagers, they would do grass cutting jobs and different things like that. And as they got older, they would form little businesses, and they were very industrious, very entrepreneurial. And in their early 20s, they started a mortgage company. So they started it in 1997, and just a very short period of time, matter of fact, about 3 years, they become one of Utah's fastest growing companies. I didn't say mortgage companies. I said one of Utah's fastest growing companies. They were probably the largest mortgage company in Utah. They were one of the top in the Mountain West, which is Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, states, Utah, states like that, and they became one of the largest in that entire Mountain West area. And they grew very, very fast and became very well known. But one of the things that John and Skyler realized was there was a significant problem with debt. Now, let me just share a quick little story with you. I won't take a lot of time, but I think it'll help you to understand how they got into this. John and Skyler were doing a tremendous amount of business. They probably had about 30 or 40 loan officers that worked for them. They were doing loans all across the United States. They were actually doing hundreds of loans a month through their operation. But John and Skyler, when they started out, they were, of course, doing loans. Well, what would happen is about 2 or 3 years would go by, and Bill would give them a call and say, listen, Skyler, John, I've had a little problem. I've kind of run up some debt. And I know that I can do a cash out refi. I've heard something about that. Is that a possibility? And they say, yeah, of course you can do that. Well, I'd like to get out of debt, pay those debts off, kind of start anew and get going. So John and Skyler helped Bill and Mary get that done. About 2, 3, or 4 years would go by. Bill and Mary would give them a call again. Hey, I'm a little embarrassed, but we bought a new car. We took that Hawaiian vacation, and we've kind of ran our debt back up again. It's a vicious circle of life, folks. It's what we all do, or we all have done. At least most of us have done that. I can say that with a lot of surety, okay? Because we deal with people on a daily basis. And so they began to see this trend. And the trend they saw was not good. And they said, are we really helping people? Are we really helping people? We're getting them a mortgage, but we keep getting them in debt. They get their mortgage, they come along, and 3 years later, they do a whole new refi, get 30 years back in debt, and they get it down to 25 years, they get 30 years back in debt, and get it down to 26 years. And just again, this vicious cycle, and it never ends, folks. It never ends. You get trapped in this cycle, and it just keeps going and going. Well, in 2004, they launched the first version of the MoneyMax Account program. Now, understand at that time it was pretty crude, but it worked. And let me tell you how they got the idea. One, they got to thinking, are we really helping people? They started doing some research. They found out that over in Australia and Great Britain, there was a program called the One Account that was being done, and it was helping people get their mortgages paid off in 1/3 to 1/2 the time. As a matter of fact, it became law in Great Britain that a company had to offer some type of prepayment program so that people could pay their mortgages off sooner. And they had to at least give them the choice of doing that. Well, Australia and Great Britain were having tremendous success, but it was very slow and arduous because it was paperwork. You had to fill out these forms, you had to mail them in, they would do some calculations, they would send it back, you'd fill it out, you'd send it in. So it's very slow and arduous, but it was working. But John Skyler thought, we have our IT guy here, he's a programmer. What if we did something? Now think back, okay? This is probably around 2000. Back then, everybody didn't own a laptop, okay? It seems like they did, but believe me, they didn't. So they start programming, they developed this program, and they launched it in a trial basis. Well, what happened over a very short period of time, and they called it the MoneyMax Account, and what happened in this beta test is they put 400 homeowners on it in Denver, Colorado, and at the end of 1 year, the first year that they had people on this program, they were 20% ahead of the projection that the calculation showed from the math that the computer calculated from the programming. So I don't want you to think that somebody was sitting there with a calculator calculating this, okay? This is all on a program that was developed by an IT person. And again, it was kind of in its first installments. And over the last several years, of course, we've worked on it. Now we have several IT programmers with the company. But they were 20% ahead of the projections of when they would be out of debt, how much interest that they were going to save. Everything was working incredible. Well, the company began to grow, and here's what we've been able to do to date thus far. To date, we have $2.6 billion of our clients, people that are utilizing the MoneyMax account on a daily basis, and you don't have to do it on a daily basis. You can spend about 10 or 15 minutes a week, but $2.6 billion of debt has been eliminated, folks. Gone, eliminated. It's not owed to the bank, to a credit union, to a mortgage lending company. It's gone. So at what we've been able to do over the last 20 some odd years, folks, is not just help you to pay off your mortgage. We help you pay off everything. Credit cards, you name it. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, any type of loan, personal loans, any type of loans, you can put it into the MoneyMax account and it will show you exactly what to do. Well, let me show you the power of this program. There was a regional manager from Wells Fargo who made a recommendation. I don't know how this is done, but a recommendation was made to Ernst & Young. Now, I don't know if you know who Ernst & Young is, but Ernst & Young is the largest accounting firm, not in the United States, but in the world. That's pretty big. been around a long time. If you don't know who they are and you're young and you don't know who they are, you'd have to be pretty young to not know who Ernst & Young is. Google it, and you will find out that what I'm telling you is the honest to goodness truth. So Ernst & Young does this on an annual basis. They recognize a lot of companies, startup companies, companies who've been around a while. They have different levels of recognition that they do, and these are major events that they do on an annual basis in handing these awards out. Well, Ernst & Young contacted John and Skyler and said, listen, you've been recommended for the Ernst & Young Award, but there's a few things that we're going to need to do. And they said, well, okay, what is that? Well, we need to do a couple of things. We need to check each of you out personally, and we need to check out your company. And when I say personally, they want to look at personal financials, personal business, personal income, those types of things. They want to know they were good people, that they were good with their money. Then they checked the company out, and they checked all the financials. They came in and checked us out. The longevity of the company, the retention. Did clients stay on the product? Did they utilize the product? Was the product viable? Did it do what we were telling people that it did? And what was the impact on the consumers to that point? Well, folks, in the first year in the trial basis, people were 20% ahead of what we said. There are people that are far more ahead than 20% now, I can tell you that. Some of that is because they do their money right, they've learned the program, and they have really caught on fire with it. Well, in 2008, we were awarded the Utah Region Entrepreneur of the Year Award. We were in 6 major magazines. You may not be familiar with these magazines because they're in the financial world, like Success at Home, True Wealth, Investor Magazine. These are all major magazines in the real estate, mortgage, and financial arena. We were in every one of these magazines, folks, and not as an ad. We were the feature article in all of those magazines, and there were a few other small companies that were in the magazines along the way. Small companies like Apple, Starbucks, eBay, Microsoft. A few of those also earned the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award.